I was talking about, oh, computer stuff, right? So what I'm going to teach you how to do in this class is use a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet is a calculator. And not only that, it records everything that you do. So like a lot of times I'll be doing some math, I whip up my calculator, and I get an answer. But to double check that answer, I can't see what I did, right? All I know is I hit a bunch of keys, and then I said, okay. So for Daisy and Jose, if you could mute your mic when you don't need to talk, there's a button near the top of the Hangout screen. If you point to near the top, it'll say, has a little line through the mic. Yeah, so if you could just hit that till you're ready to talk, that'll keep out background noise. As far as that goes, if you have a laptop or a tablet and you want to bring it to class, bring it to class. Otherwise, I am often whipping out my phone and using the calculator on my phone. Anybody here have an Apple type phone? Okay. The calculator on the Apple phone, hey, how's it going? Good. Excuse me, sorry. It sucks. And I mean, it's a calculator, it works, but if you have a complicated expression, you have to very carefully enter things in the right order. You can't just type what you see and hope it'll work. It's not gonna happen. So even though it has like parentheses buttons on there, it doesn't work like the parentheses buttons on other calculators. So we will do some complicated calculations. Spreadsheet's the way to go because I can just type it, I can see it, I can go back and look at it again, I can copy and paste it. So often I'm gonna drag you guys into a computer lab to do some work with me. And I'll teach you how to use a spreadsheet if you don't know how to use one. So that I think is a lot of fun. What else? So the rest of you might have Android phones or just not a smartphone. The Android calculator works great. There's a page on the course here, Math Utilities, where I recommend tools to use. So I am gonna mostly use Google Sheets when I do calculations. GeoGebra is another app I like. It's an app that works on a computer, a tablet, a smartphone. Desmos is another one. It's an app that works on a computer, tablet, smartphone. And then here's some other smartphone apps. These are mainly, I put them up here because they're kind of like, they're mainly computer apps, so I can whip them out of my Mac or my Windows computer. And as far as if you want a calculator different than the default one on your phone, Desmos, I think, is my go-to favorite right now for a good calculator. It also does graphing stuff. We won't do too much graphing here, except for maybe we have some data we want to make a pretty chart. That's about the most graphing we'll do. We'll do a little other kind of plotting point type of graphing later. There's a calculator called a Wabbit, but I meant to delete that. So ignore Wabbit. I used to like it 5 years ago, but times change quick. All right, so let's go back to the home page. So I'm just going to give a little orientation here to how I have the course set up, and then we're going to start doing some math together. The book you can get printed at the library. No, not the library. The bookstore if you want. I think it costs like $12 to print the whole thing. It actually has all of Math 62 and Math 92 in it. The whole book is available in one shot through this link. In every single, I have it then broken up into modules. In 62, we're going to do 2 modules. We've got the Quantitative Literacy Toolkit module, and we've got the Working with Data module. Each module has lessons. Each lesson has usually at least 3 things in it. There's a prep, which is stuff you need to do before you come to class to kind of warm up for what we're doing. And then in class, there's a worksheet that usually I'll just print them out and bring them to class. Or if you're in Hermiston, you can print them in at one of the printers in the hallway there. Or you could print the whole workbook ahead of time, like I said, at the bookstore. It's like $12, I think, to print the whole thing. And then we'll do the worksheet together in class. At first, I will help a lot with it, but then more and more, it's going to be, hey, here's today's worksheet. You guys looked at the prep. Any questions on the prep? We go over any questions, and you guys break into groups, and you tackle the worksheet together, and occasionally I intervene. So by the end of the quarter, it's like I'm kind of like wondering what I'm supposed to do because you guys are just so doing your own thing. And then after each worksheet, there's a homework assignment that follows up on the skills we learned with the worksheet thing in class. So every lesson has 3 parts. Prep, you guys got to do that ahead of time. I'll do some of it in class with you, but mostly it's your online homework. Worksheet in class. Often the worksheet is a write-up on paper. Sometimes it's a group hand-in. Sometimes everybody turns in their own version because mainly I'm having you guys write about math. and it doesn't help if you do all the writing for your group, because then you missed out on, you know, writing that stuff down too. So usually what will happen is, even though you worked in a group, you'll each turn in your own paper. And usually there's some kind of spreadsheet to go with it, and you'll just upload the spreadsheet here. Or if you're like me, has anyone used Google Sheets before, or Google Docs? A couple of you. With Google Docs, there's this share button. You just hit share, you type in Parker, and boom, I already have it, right? And so I'll show you how to use that later too. Anyone use Excel here for a spreadsheet before? A couple of people have used Excel, yeah. So if you prefer Excel, Excel's on all the computers here, go for it. I like Sheets better because it's always saving things. It's always there online when I need it, and I can hit share and send it to whoever I want. And it does all the same stuff. So our goal is to get through modules 1 and 2. That's 19 lessons. There'll be one midterm exam and a final exam. So there's not a lot of exams here. It's mostly online homework for prep, and then after the fact, and then in class working together on stuff and playing with spreadsheets. Okay, so that's how it'll run. We'll do roughly a worksheet every 2 days, I think is what it works out to. So each lesson we have about 2 days to get it done. Some days it'll take us 3, sometimes we'll whip it out in 1. It just kind of depends. And it's never like, here's an algebra topic, let's do 100 of these problems over and over again. That doesn't happen in here. Once in a while, though, there are these, like, to get good at something, you got to practice. So once in a while, the homework is, you know, you're going to do 5 of these kind of practice problems. As beings who learn stuff, we got to practice, otherwise we never get good at it. So there's a little of that, but not like you've seen in an algebra class. So I think in that way, it's a lot less painful. So what else? Oh, yeah, I just added this right now. It's a tell me about yourself. It's just a form I need you to fill out for me. So I'm going to get to know you by talking to you, by reading your name every day. But I'd like to know some other stuff you might not necessarily share to the rest of the class. Only I'm going to see this. So it's pretty straightforward stuff. I'm going to want your first name, last name. If you have a preferred email address that isn't your BMCC one, I'd kind of like to know that. Do you like math? Yes, no, maybe, or you have some other opinion you want to share. I'd like to know, what are your personal goals? Like, why are you here? So I can help you better. What are your educational goals? What are your professional goals? Why are you taking this course in particular? What else are you taking? And then is there anything else you want to tell me about yourself to help me remember you? So if you could, this is one of your homework assignments tonight. Fill that out. It'll go right into my Google account, and then I can read about you later, and that'll just help me get to know you all a little better. So everything we do emanates from this Canvas course. The home page is the same as modules. I'm going to reorganize this list a little bit. It looks like I forgot to do that in this class. But pretty much it goes in order. After the first week or so, we're probably not going to need this first group of stuff. And so everything in here, there's a little arrow, you can minimize it so it gets it out of your way. And then you can focus on the module 1 stuff. And we'll just keep going with that. When we're done with module 1, we'll minimize that and we'll move on. I mentioned that I had this weird brain thing happen the other day, and I accidentally set this up for a 3-day-a-week course instead of a 4-day-a-week course. So hopefully I'll get this fixed tonight. But right now, if you go to look at the calendar, come on calendar, quantitative literacy, the dates might look a little weird, and I don't know what happened. I guess in other quarters, I teach this 3 days a week, and I forgot I scheduled this for 4 days a week. But I kind of have this set up on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of schedule. So I'm going to be moving those all around. They'll be in the vicinity, but they'll shift by a day or so. Keep in mind, on the Canvas calendar, if you wait until like the 13th of October to do lesson 6, that means you're kind of late, because that's actually when you're supposed to turn it in. Right? Often we can get stuff done the same day, but sometimes you get stuck, right? And that means you're not going to get it done that day and you're late on the assignment. So if you look at this and say, oh, I'm going to wait to do that until that day or that day, you're going to be perpetually like a day behind, which is not a cool place to be, I don't think. It makes life a little crazier than it ought to be. So back here, what I usually do is I give a paper calendar out, which I'm not going to hand out today because it says Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Oops, where'd it go? Daily work schedule. So don't print this out because I'm going to fix it. But this says when you should start stuff. Not when it's due, but when you should start stuff. So the days that things appear here are different than the Canvas calendar, because this is when to start it so you get it done on time. Right? So today we're going to start lesson 1.1. The lessons are the paper things we do. Anything that says homework or prep, those are online assignments. Okay? So like here, the prep, I'm actually going to go over a little bit in class with you, but if you want to look at it ahead of time, that's probably a good idea. And I'll remind you about that at the end of class today. But that says Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So remember, by tomorrow, this will be fixed. It's weird how that happened. Okay, let's do some math. And I'm going to grab that handout off the printer. For Daisy and Jose, what you need to do is have this page visible to you, because we're going to talk about this assignment right now. We'll get that off the printer. So, pages is to say this is 1, 2, 3, and a 1 page, so it's just a 2-pager. 2 pages. Oh, you're already in the printer. On. And for this class, I highly recommend having a 3-ring binder so you can take stuff out and put it back in. Because I'm going to grade stuff, collect, and give it back. And these worksheets, definitely don't throw them away after I give them back, because everything on here is on the test. Those worksheets. So keep these.
Can I actually get a copy of the worksheet? Because this is a loaner thing. I actually just retrieve.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to write on anything.
Yeah.
Copy. Maybe just write on.
That's yes. And then if you have any friends that are taking like Math 70, I would take this class. It's way more fun. You can still switch things with Friday. All right, everybody got a copy there, either in front of them or on the screen. Okay. So every lesson is set up pretty much the same way in terms of at the top, the first thing it'll do is say, hey, these are the goals of this lesson. So often in class, I don't know about you guys, but I'm the kind of person who really doesn't think I need to read directions most of the time, right? I get some complicated device, it shows directions on how to put together like a vacuum. I don't need that, I can put it together myself. So if you're one of the people that doesn't read the fine print, please in this class, try to read the fine print. It tells what we're doing. Okay, so we should pause a minute to take a look at the things that we're going to try and get out of this. So I'm going to give you a minute, just read over that first couple of parts. And then we'll jump into today's problem. So again, kind of related to my unwillingness and sometimes inability to read directions, I'm a kind of doer, so I'm always anxious to get in and start doing stuff. I'm also a tiny bit dyslexic, so at first elementary school was really rough for me until we figured that out. And spelling has always been a problem. For some reason, numbers just work well for me. Whenever I'm asked to read in a setting like this, it cuts my reading rate in half. I I get nervous, I can't read as fast. I'm like, ugh. So I try to give you guys as much time as possible, but sometimes I can't help but dive into stuff. So if I do move too fast, sometimes say, yo, Parker, just slow down a minute. I need just another minute to take this in. I totally understand because I get too excited sometimes. So quantitative literacy, quantitative just means quantity, quantity means count stuff. It's just numbers. Literacy just means knowing about it, right, and being able to use it. So the point of this course is learning about how to work with numbers. Algebra is one way to do it. It happens to be like the dominant way in our school system from like middle school on up. It's even filtered down into elementary school now. So first graders are doing algebra these days. It's cool, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. It's allowed us to do things that we would have never been able to do, like have cell phones and send things up into outer space, right? And have all this wonderful plastic crap that makes our life better. However, there's lots of other cool math that doesn't involve algebra at all, but involves numbers anyway and patterns. And so that's what we're going to mostly focus on, and only grab algebra when we need to. So for the first part of this lesson, we're just going to get some tools for working with numbers. Okay? And mostly what we need is to be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And you're all here, you can totally do that. Other thing, how many people like math? Just me. Okay. How many people think they're good at math? Okay, that's good. So we have these beliefs, right? And sometimes those beliefs are grounded in truth, and sometimes they're not. And we have a hard time judging sometimes. At least I'll speak for myself. I have a hard time judging sometimes. People say things to me, and if it falls in with my belief system, I'm like, yeah, that's right. I know that. I believe that too, right? Like somebody might say this to me, every year since 1950, the number of American children gunned down has doubled. Yeah, all those idiots who don't keep track of their guns, don't have them locked up, and their kids get hurt because people don't know how to treat their guns properly. So if it fits in my belief system, I'm going to say, yeah. But maybe it doesn't. Like, no, this is somebody trying to lock up my guns, those bastards. I don't believe that, right? So we read something, and immediately our brain says, hey, where does this fit in with my belief system? And whether it is true or false, we're going to go with it, right? And so from my point of view, most of what I think I know, I really just believe, and it's not fact. I'm extremely flawed that way, okay? And I think most people are in that, whether they admit it or not. So what we have to learn to do in a course like this is say, okay, anything that has a number in it, we should be able to analyze it and say yes or no, or maybe we need more information, right? So our goal right now is to say, is this a reasonable statement? So just think about that for a minute. Every year since 1950, the number of American children gunned down has doubled. Could be. Possible? Is gun violence a problem in this country? Yeah, it's definitely a problem. Yeah. So, what can we do to check it out? Google it, grab my phone, start looking stuff up, right? Okay, so that's one thing I could do. Another thing I could do is just write some stuff down on paper. So let's make a wild guess. In 1950, gunned down, that's kind of a harsh statement. I'm not sure exactly what gunned down means. Did they get killed?
I envision it like something like chasing them.
Chasing them? Yeah, we're gonna get you, sucker. Right, okay, so when I gunned down, that means like I'm on the ground bloody. Somebody just shot the heck out of me, is what I'm thinking there. So let's take the extreme case. So that means children that were shot and killed. In 1950, how many children do you think were shot and killed? It doesn't say US, but I'm thinking US. So how many do you think? Let's throw a number out there. 10, excellent number. You guys will participate more later once you get more used to this stuff. All right, so let's go to magic whiteboard. Hello, world. Okay, so whenever I'm trying to solve a problem, I write stuff down immediately. Anybody know why I might do that? Yeah, seeing things helps you think about them differently, right? There's a lot of interesting studies about that. So I'm going to write down 1950. I'm going to write 10 next to that. Okay. I come back tomorrow and I look at this. Am I going to remember what the hell those numbers mean? Okay, you think, yeah, okay, you got a better memory than me. But I might not, so I'm old. So this is a year, okay, that seems kind of stupid, he thinks I'm crazy. And this is kids gunned down. Kids, I'm gonna write my interpretation, shot dead.
Can you clarify what the children is? I mean, specific age, like is it anybody under 18?
Anyway, yeah, well, okay, that's another thing. Yeah, what's a child? Somebody under 18? Should we change the threshold to 16, 10? Yeah. So I'm going to hold off on that one for just a minute. And my apologies if that seems callous. I don't mean it for it to be so. I just, when I heard gun down, that's the first thing I thought of. And so I'm going to go with that for now. So what did it say? Every year since 1950? Okay. So what's next? 1951? What should I write down next? 20, right? Because it says it's doubled. And then 1952 is what? 40? All right. And Jen is thinking that magic whiteboard is awesome. I want to try. You want to try? You're okay. So, you know, I could keep doing. Do I want to write this all the way up to 2017? Hell no, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to whip out my magic spreadsheet right now. So for me, for a spreadsheet, I go to my web browser and I just go to Google Drive. I'm already logged in. I just hit this little square button. And I usually start with my drive, not with sheets. And I'll explain why right now. My drive is a place where I can organize things and I have all these folders to keep stuff in. If I start with sheets, I have to then decide to put it somewhere after the fact. So usually I get in the right spot right away. So if you have a Google account, I would recommend using Google Drive. Make a folder for maybe BMCC stuff. I have a folder called Math Classes. In Math Classes, I have all kinds of different classes. I have a Quant Lit, and I have a Math 62. Okay. So I'm even going to make a new folder here, and I'm going to, oh shit, what about new folder? There it is. What am I going to call it? I'm going to call it all 2017. This is for you guys. And in there, now I'm going to go new sheet. So now it's in the right spot. And also, if I shared that folder with anybody, they get whatever's inside of it too. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to, on here, anytime you put numbers in a spreadsheet, always label them just like on paper. And I'm going to put going down, because my other statement seems a little too extreme and it's bugging me now. And then I'm going to type 1950, and I'm going to type 1951. And over here, I'm going to type 10, and I'm going to type 20. Okay, so do you guys know spreadsheets recognize patterns? Which is pretty cool. So I can highlight 1950 and 51, and then I let go of the mouse, and then I point to the bottom right corner. Notice I get that plus symbol there. Can you guys see that out there in space? Yeah. And then I just drag down, and it'll try and guess at the pattern I want. Oh, look at that, 52, 53, 54. Let's blow that up a little bit so you can see it better. Okay, so that's called an autofill. And Excel does it too, any spreadsheet out there. What is Apple has numbers, it does that too. Will it recognize any pattern? Okay, so I want 10, 20, 40. If I highlight those two, so the trick with the fill is first you highlight the pattern and then you grab that little magic button on the bottom and drag it down. It went 30, 40, 50. Okay, so I said, no, you messed that up. Cool thing about a spreadsheet, delete. Okay, I want 10, 20, 40, right? So I try again. I'm trying to teach it. Highlight, point and click, drag. Oh, crap, what is that? Okay. So the thing about the autofill in a spreadsheet, it represents patterns that only change by exactly the same amount each time. So it can go 1 year, 2 years. It can go keep adding 1 year, or it can keep adding 10. But it doesn't know how to double automatically. I have to teach it that a different way. Okay? So whenever you use the autofill, it can only do things that are the same space apart. 10, 20, 40, they ain't the same space apart. Right? Other things it can do is like if you write day 1, day 2, day 3, it'll go day 4, day 5, day 6, which is kind of cool. If you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, guess what it'll put next? Thursday, yeah. So any pattern that they're the same space apart, it nails. Otherwise, you have to write a formula for it. So let's see. mathematically speaking, like I have a younger daughter, she knows a lot of math, but she's young, she doesn't know a lot of math, you know what I mean? She thinks she knows everything when she doesn't. So how would I tell her how to get from 10 to 20 to 40? What am I gonna tell her to do mathematically? Times by 2, right? Yeah, so that's what I need to tell the computer to do. And that's actually not too bad. So let's delete, actually I'm gonna delete all of this stuff. So I just go into the cell underneath. Anytime you want to do a calculation on a spreadsheet, what do you do first? You're on the spot. You know this. Equals.
Yeah,
you have to put the equal sign, right? Yeah. You got to type equals if you want a calculation. Otherwise, if you type 2 plus 2, computer says, yeah, that's 2 plus 2. If you want it to say 4, then you have to go equals 2 plus 2. When I click back there, notice in the formula bar at the top, it says, oh yeah, you typed equals 2 plus 2, but I know you wanted the result because you told me to tell you what it equals. So anytime you want a result, you type equals first. So delete, start over, equals. I want to take 2 times what? That? No. Yeah, I want to take 2 times 10. Now, that 10 is already there. I could retype it. But why should I retype it when it's already there? I just click on it. So I just say 2 times, then I click on the number I want to take 2 times. And it says, oh, you want 2 times the number in B2. Cool thing about that is if later I change my mind about what that should have been, it will know and it'll adjust it. So check it out. So I type it, I hit enter. I go back to B2 and we say, you know, in 1950, I bet it was more like 3. Enter, it says, oh, double of 3 is 6. So the cool thing about a spreadsheet, if you use formulas, it automatically adjusts things for you, which is nice. Now, when I'm filling down a pattern, I need a pattern of at least 2 things to highlight first. When I'm filling down a formula, I only need the single formula. So I click on the cell that has the formula in it, and then I hit fill down. And what happens is it recognizes that I was taking 2 times the number above. So down here, it changes the cell reference from B2 to B3. Because it said, you probably don't always want 2 times the number way up there. You want 2 times the previous number. And that's what's called relative cell referencing. Sounds fancy for just a point and click, but it's super powerful. And we will do this about every single day in this class. So if it's new to you and you're like, what the hell did he just do? Don't worry, we'll do it again. And there'll be a few homework assignments where you get to try it and I get to help you. So that is what's called a relative cell reference. So I'm going to put that down in the notes for today. And spreadsheets. And every spreadsheet works this way down to the first spreadsheet ever built by humans on a computer. So it's called relative cell referencing. Relative cell reference. I don't know what I would do if it wasn't for phonics. A friend of mine says this belief is a lie. It's my own story, but I grew up in Rhode Island. In Rhode Island, we speak a little bit different than they do out here, and I had to learn to say things like they do out west. Like my real name isn't Gary Parker, it's Gary Paca. And so I swear my spelling is bad because I grew up with a Rhode Island accent. Because I remember in elementary school seeing words, I'm like, really? That's how it's spelled? That's not how we say it. Right? Anyway, that's my belief why I think spelling is tough for me. Anyway, relative cell reference. So what that means is, so we have our A column, our B column, our C column. We have our rows, they're numbered, and so on. So in cell B2 here, I have some number that I really want. And I need to use it in cell B3. So to make that happen, oh, my tools disappeared. Let's see. There they are. Switch color. Equals, and the order I type it, does it matter what order you multiply? 2 times 3, 3 times 2, same order. So usually I take what I want to multiply by first, and then I hit the asterisk to multiply. And then I just point and click on that cell right there. And it will automatically fill in for me cell B2. Now I could just manually type a B and a 2 and it'll know what I mean. It'll still work. But I find the point and click is easier, because does anyone ever look at a table of numbers and have a hard time tracking across and down and staying in the right row and column? Yeah. So it's better to point and click to get the right thing. And I'm a horrible typist, especially when I'm nervous in front of a group of people. Forget about it. And what happens here, why it's called a relative cell reference, is although the computer typed a B2 for me, what it's thinking is, look in the cell one above. Relative to where I am now, look up one. So that when I fill it down, it's always thinking, look up one cell, look up one cell, look up one cell. Yeah, that's the way it works. So when I copy B2 down, it's going to change the 2 to a 3. Why? Because row numbers go down. What do you think would happen if I copied this formula to the right? What would change instead? The letter would change. Yeah, it would change from a B to a C, depending on how many I copied it. If I just do a copy and paste 5 cells over, let's see, C, D, E, F, G, it'll change it to a G instead. Because why? Because G is 5 columns over, right? And that's the idea of relative cell referencing. So we're going to use this every day. This is why spreadsheets were invented, the idea of referencing other numbers. So that way, if you make a mistake, instead of having to redo everything, you just go change that one number and everything is automatically updated. Super powerful. All right. So let's get back to this for a minute. I filled it down a little bit. So this says in 1956, there were 192 people killed. I mean, let's look up today. Let's see. Kids shots. Let's go with shots in the U.S. this year. It's amazing. You can type stuff like this and you get results. 19 kids are shot every day in the United States. Washington Post. Do you think the Washington Post is a reliable news source? I hear it around a lot. What's that? It depends on who you're asking. Yeah, my stepdad thinks they're a left-wing bunch of nuts and feed us fake news, but that's his problem. Gun violence, kids killed or injured in 2017. So there's a bunch of different ones. 16 hospitalized for gunshot wounds each day, CNN. Okay, CNN, Washington Post, they're in the ballpark, right? Okay, so how many days are in a year? Okay, so check this out. Did you know Google is a calculator? You just go to Google, you type 365 times, there's the asterisk. Let's go with, let's see, one said 16, one said 19. How about we go with 17?
That's 3 digits.
In your mind. All right, I'm only dyslexic with numbers. How many days are in a year? 365? Now you got me all confused. So that says 6,205 are shot each year if we believe those sources and we agree on the way we're saying things. Seems reasonable to me. Let's see what our spreadsheet says, starting with 3 in 1950, and let's assume that gunned down means shot and hospitalized. A little more better definition. So the spreadsheet, it can fill this stuff down, right? Now, since I have a pattern on one side that requires 2 cells and a pattern on the other that only needs 1, it turns out I can do 2 cells for both of them, and that'll still work out okay. So I'm just going to drag this down until I get to 2017. I'm not sure how far that's going to be. Oh, that's a waste. Oh, shit. Look at the size of that number. Okay, we got a problem. I don't think we should keep going. In 1989, we're not at 2017. Let's see. I need to put some commas in here. There is a comma format. More formats number. Okay, we need to make that cell bigger. Okay, so this is, let's see, our ones-ish, our thousands, millions, billions, trillions. So according to that fact, right, the number of kids shot has doubled every day since 1950. If we started with 3 in 1950, in 1989, we're not even in the 2000s yet, we got over 1 trillion kids shot. Anybody know roughly the US population? 300 million, I think is where we're at right now. Okay, in 1989, maybe we were like 270 million. That exceeds the population of people in the US, never mind children, not to mention the population of people on Earth. right? Okay, so something's wrong. Either the doubling is wrong or what I started with? What's up?
Somehow along the line it changed the first number to a mathematical number.
Oh, yeah, because I had everything highlighted.
Is that why?
I accidentally changed those too, yeah. So I could highlight those again, and I could change them back. So let's zoom back out.
The math is wrong.
No, the math is actually right. The computer did exactly what we told it to do. Okay. Yeah, it doubled each year. And it's amazing what can happen when you keep doubling. Yeah, this is called exponential growth. And exponential growth gets insane. So let's make a note about we just saw exponential growth. Exponential growth. How are we doing on time? Oh, we only have 2 minutes. Darn. It's just getting interesting. Exponential growth. So exponential growth happens from repeated multiplication of the same number. Like spreadsheets are really good at doing what's called linear growth. That's where you grow by the same amount each time. Like always going up by 10 or always going up by 1. But here it changes, right? If we start with 2, we double and we get 4, then 8, 16, 32, and then the math starts getting too hard and I want a calculator, right? Can you see the space between consecutive numbers is growing each time, right? There's lots of ways to grow fast. Exponential is one of the fastest ways to make things grow, right? And we'll see more examples of exponential growth later in the course. And when you try to graph exponential growth, instead of getting a nice line, that don't happen. It looks like it starts off not too bad, but then it goes whang, it just shoots up into the air, and you lose track of the numbers, like trillions. I can't even conceive of what a trillion is. What would it be like if I had a trillion $1 bills? Would that fill this room? Would it fill this building? Would it fill the campus? We'll calculate that this week. All right, so we're running out of time for fun with math. My sincere apologies. But we get to come back tomorrow. That's the good news. So let's recap where we are, what we did. We started looking at lesson 1. We'll finish up lesson 1 tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to have you guys sit down, like 3 up, 3 at a time, and just take a look at the questions on here and the chart and start filling some of this out together. So don't worry about doing the worksheet for homework, but if you're a go-getter, go for it and come share tomorrow. What I really need you to do tonight is, let's see, tell me about yourself. I'd like you to do that tonight. And I would like you to do the prep lesson here, Intro to My Open Math. So that's just about how to use this system to type answers and get the computer to understand what you said and meant. Okay, so if you've used an online math homework thing before, no problem. If you haven't, you get to redo it as many times as you want till you get it right. So about half of the homework you do in here is repeatable forever until you get it right. Some of it I cut you off after 3 tries, and we'll talk about that later. So main things you got to get done tonight: do that survey, tell me about yourself, do the prep lesson, and then we will finish up this worksheet in class tomorrow, and we'll start prepping for lesson 2 tomorrow also. If you have a friend that's in Math 70, tell them to come in here. The more, the merrier. And we'll play some more tomorrow. And then, Jose, I hope you can make it to Hermiston tomorrow to work with Daisy. And then we have another person in Hermiston, Marisol. And actually, let me put the chain. Those of you in the room, you can take off. We're done. Let's see, I'm going to turn that off. Oh, there's me. Hello. Let's see. So Marisol, she said she might come to Pendleton tomorrow, but I wasn't clear on that. So there could be 3 of you in Hermiston. It might just be the 2 of you. And so what I'll do is every day I will email you the invitation to join this session, and I will also post it at the top of the page like I did today. And I lost my camera. Come on. Share. Yeah, so at the top of the page, this will always be the today's link to get to class.
Okay.
So do you guys, oops, turn off screen share. There we go. Do you guys have any questions for me before we break?
No.
Good. All right. Well, have a fantastic night, and I will
You
see
too.
you online tomorrow. Okay. Bye-bye.